Okay.
Okay. It
All
was the
right, we
default.
are live.
Okay, man. I'm sorry about that.
That's all
All good.
right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Sorry for the delayed start. We were figuring out some technical difficulties
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
age that we're living in. Uh, we're so we're having fun here. So we're celebrating this album we just made. I want to introduce everybody that's here with us tonight. We have Gonzalo Rubalcaba.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Hello.
We have Carlo De Rosa
Hello.
and Dafnis Prieto.
Hello, hello.
And we can hear and see Sammy
Every
Figueroa.
That's right.
Hi, hi, hi. Finally. Yes.
That's good.
Mhm.
We were trying to get Sammy's sound to work, and I think it's going to work now. And he can actually hear us, which is a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Absolutely. You could hear me too, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So we we're here to basically hang and and get to spend some time with you. I know that most of you know these brilliant musicians uh, from from so many pieces of work through their career, and you go on Google and see their accomplishments. I'm not going to go through all that stuff. These are we've been joking saying we're boleros because we played all of these boleros together. Um, this I just wanted to talk about the project a little bit, and then we're gonna open it up and talk a little bit. Gonzalo and I were talking about doing a project like this. I don't know how long ago that was. A little less than a year, maybe, or maybe it was a year ago.
It was a year already.
Yeah, Gonzalo is a faculty member here at Frost School of Music, University of Miami, and I was peppering you with a lot of questions about bolero. I wanted to learn about the history and the art form of the bolero, and I know you've been associated with so many beautiful albums, especially all the collaborations with Charlie Hayden with the bolero, and and Gonzalo made the point that in so many cultures, it's such a bonding presence for the family. You have dinner and you go play some tunes after, and to share that, uh, with your family members, to be able to share music together is such a unifying source, and that certainly was the case with my family. Whenever, my father's a brilliant musician, my mother's a brilliant musician, my grandfather, both of my grandfathers. I mean, on both sides of my family, and I think that's something that we all share together. That we grew up in where music was very important. If it wasn't in the family, it was in the neighborhoods that we grew up
Mhm.
in, or certainly directly in the family. And uh, so my intent with this record is okay. So let's bring family and music together, and bring it together in a healing way, in a cathartic way, in a way that unites and is the opposite of division and separation. And then we had uh, the date scheduled to go and record this thing right in March. I don't know if you all remember.
Mhm.
And then the lockdown
See?
happened. uh, and so I had to send you all an email and say, I think we're gonna have to postpone. And then a few months into it, I said, well, what if we try and do this, and we're all in our separate ISO booths, and do this in a way that feels safe and comfortable for everybody, and also within we'll tie it into the theme of what the album is, because while we're on quarantine, we're at home with our family. It's really been, I know this, it's been that for me. It's been a moment where uh, I can really, this whole time has been a moment for me. I think collectively and individually, it feels like we're going through this fire, this fire that is just burning with such intensity, and every one of us has to go through it, and we all have certain things that we need to shed and just burn off. As a human race, culturally, and individually, there's things that just don't serve anymore, and we have to go through. And that's hopefully that will make humanity and our culture and us individually that much stronger. But it really showed me the things that are important in my life that I want to continue to prioritize even more. And those things are family and music, and that's what this album has meant to me. But I know that that's just more of a personal angle, and perhaps I could even ask Gonzalo, to if you'd share some of the conversation that we had, because you have so much knowledge about how family and the bolero and so many different cultures have come together.
Well, I think you said it already in a very clear way. Boleros for island in this part of the world, the Caribbean. We're talking about the ballad. This is our ballad. The romantic expression, musical romantic expression, where usually we talk about love, we talk about our memories, but always related to our love or maybe deception from somebody we love in the past. But it also mentioned places. You can hear some lyrics that make homage of the cities, towns, people, family. I don't know, different kind of stories. So, as you said, I grew up in the family that, in the musical family. Everything was about music. Since I was a little kid, this is why I remember. I used to hear a lot of music in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening, every time. Jam, rehearsals, concerts, music on the radio, on TV. And I remember to see a lot of great singers using the boleros as one of the most important styles or genre to become popular. And at this time in Cuba, I'm talking about the 70s, also the 80s, and even before the late 60s, I remember to hear a lot of boleros still in Cuba. I remember when Charlie called me to see if we could record a new album because his record company was requesting him a new album and he didn't know what to play. Or at least he said, I don't want to play or to do another album of Stray Ahead. I don't want to do that. But I'm looking to see if I can find a different music or repertoire or something else that and he asked me, what do you think we can do? And just at that moment when he called me, I was listening to a compilation of boleros made by Pablo Milanés, the Cuban singer and composer, and which is a beautiful compilation of many boleros, not only from Cuba, but also from Mexico. And I said, well, I have this burn CD right now in my hands with about 22 or 25 boleros, and I will send it to you. You can hear that music and tell me if you think this is something that we can work with. And I didn't expect the reaction that he had at the end when he heard that music. I just cried. I said, oh, let me send that because I had no idea neither. And so as soon as he received the music, he called me back and said, that's the album I want to do. And that was the beginning of the Nocturne production. And the the thing about bolero is that it doesn't matter if you're Cuban or Mexican or Puerto Rican or Dominican or Colombian or Venezuelan, which is one of the countries that where bolero has been very famous. But you can be from Uruguay, from Brazil, from Bolivia, from Nicaragua, from any part of Latin America, and also some European countries and Asian countries that they have an amazing identification with this music. So he called Cuban guys, he called a musician from Uruguay, from New York, from different places, and still bolero sound very beautiful. It sounds authentic, and and we did a record where everybody feel comfortable playing that music. So this is more or less, or I think, in the same, uh, let's say, size. What happened when we played that music at the studio for the first time? We heard the reference you sent to everyone. That actually I had to say that everything you sent, the music you sent by after sequence, was clear already. You have very clear vision of what you want on this record. And even when you speculate with maybe the tempos, harmonies, some change that are not original from the from the piece, the original piece, still the sound. I know that everybody that had contact with that music, they can already believe or understand that we're talking about Latin music. In case that people don't know, people that doesn't know about boleros, and people that knows bolero, they already recognize that behind that, in 90% of the record, the bolero is there present, in a very fresh way and a very uh, contemporary way, I would say. Uh, but we're talking in the record, I think, of family. We're talking about um, the friendship. We're talking about um, admiration, the people that we feel admiration. We're talking about many different stories that unify us. Um, and I remember that when you sent the email asking us to come to the studio, to the possibility to come to the studio in the middle of this pandemic situation, that not many people want to go out, not many people want to be inside of a place with more than two, three, or four persons. I think everybody simultaneously say, yes, we want to do it. And it was fantastic. That was the beginning of a unification. Um, and I think it inject a lot of health and life and a good spirits and some positive spirits to the music we record. That was the attitude of the people that come together to the studio, to come into the university, to see each other, even with the regulations that everybody was with the mask. We cannot uh, touch or hug. Um, that love was there, and I think this is what we can hear in the music.
Thank you for that, Gonzalo. And that's I I love you all so much, and it's there's a certain with every person on this call right here. Everyone, the reason why I wanted to do this with each one of you is because you all listen. When I talk to you, and when you talk to me, there's as Gonzalo said, there's a respect, there's a love, there's a trust. From day one, with everybody. And some of you, we all have different relationships with one another, and some of us have known each other longer, and some of us have just started to get to know one another. But there's just an open communication line that's always there. Everyone listens, and so that's who I want to make music with. That's who I'll go in the studio with. you know, and even during this time, you know, I feel like we have to really find what to, not to have fear for living right now. We need to be alive right now too. Be alive right now. I want to get into playing a little bit of music, and then I want to hear from everybody.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
I I'm gonna play this song. You know, I got to uh, finally play a few songs written by my father, who's a great composer and a great trumpet player. And these are songs that I grew up with. There are three of them on the record: number 45, number 22, and number 19. And you know, Dad, Jay Daversa, my father, has a whole book of tunes, and he very rarely ever named any of them. So it's just number 1 until number 233. So this is number 45. I'm gonna play this one, a tad bit of it. Number 45, which, by the way, has no reference at all to the 45th president. It was written more than 30 years ago. Someone brought that up to me, so it's not it. It just happens to be number 45.
Nor your
Wow.
dad was 45 years old when he wrote it either.
I thought you should play the lotto with those numbers, you know.
Yeah.
I should have.
I like that.
There's still time.
We got 3. We got 19, 22, 45. To pick a couple other ones.
That's right.
Well, you could hit lotto with that,
You know, this is a
and we could
complete
divide the
band.
whole thing between all of us.
We just have to
Make another
record
record.
3 more songs, and then we'll have lotto numbers. We're ready. That's it.
You know, it was making me think of how, you know, something I think about all the time. You know, the power of music. You know, it's something that I know that we all think about. I know that, you know, whenever you make a sound, there's an energy in it. There's a bubble. You know, there's an intention that goes in that bubble, and then when it disrupts the sound, it makes the vibration. It travels, and it keeps traveling. It never stops. It just continues to go, and so there's a responsibility to what that intention is, to be aware of it. you know, I'm not saying it has to be positive either. It's just be aware of it. I mean, sometimes you need to express anger.
Right.
Sometimes you express joy. Sometimes you express humor. Sometimes you express love, or just an intention. It can be so many things. So, I know that in the music that I put out in the world, it's something that I'm very keen on being aware of. What am I putting out there that may affect other people? And I'd love to hear any further thoughts that you all have about that, because I know that you're all very intentional about the music that you all make.
Right. Yeah, I actually been just to add a little bit to that. You know, I agree 100% to everything that you Gonzalo say, and you already exposed and put out there in a very clear way. But you know, just like when you were talking about the personalities and us specifically, it's very important to find that transparency in the intention. And you know, I've been kind of really meditating on that word and the power that could have that word also. The transparency of intentions is just the most you know, gratifying thing, you know, because you understand that's the truth. There's no hiding, there is no secret, there is not, you know, it's right there. And you know, when it's really well intentional, you also is a spiritual exercise for yourself and to others as well. You know, when you get to share that, and you get that reciprocity also from the colleagues, and that's you know, a wonderful thing when you play music. And now we can really appreciate it more. You know, because the world kind of put us a little bit more isolated from each other in a more social way, right?
Mhm.
So when we get to play music and we get to see each other, you know, there is a level of appreciation much more than any other time, I will say, because of this also these conditions that we're living on now, you know, with the pandemic and the whole thing. And so it was a joy to be, you know, to record the music, to be part of part of this you know, family bolero journey. I think is a wonderful thing. And you know, I just enjoyed the whole thing. I enjoyed it. We had a great professionalism in the studio, also a great joy, a lot of laugh, a lot of friendship, a lot of, you know, great high musicianship between, you know, all the colleagues in the studio, and that was very you know, appreciated and divine in a sense of joy and reciprocity of good energies, as you were talking early, you know. So that's my experience in a nutshell somehow.
You know what? I think Sammy, you and I were talking about this. When I hear cuts from this record, what I can feel is this very sincere gratitude. You know, because for all of us, we hadn't played music with other people for 2-3 months, and I know all of you, and you know, all of us are playing music all the time with people,
Yeah.
and so much of the music that we make is so based on the interaction and the improvisation
Yeah.
with other human beings.
No, but you just adding to what Gonzalo just say about the music, I completely agree also that, you know, you had a very clear idea of what it was. I mean, we actually joked a lot with the mock-ups, and I say let's try to make it sound a little bit better than the mock-ups, you know, that John made, because I really enjoyed already. You know, it was very clear, all the intentions, even the percussion and the piano and everything that you recorded for us to listen before we
The
went
drum
into the
parts were
studio.
special.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I heard it. I heard it.
I heard it too.
It was
That's fun.
unfair. You play bass, so you put me at a disadvantage. You know, no, but I actually felt that clarity was both really helpful, but actually was made it in a way more challenging, because you were really clear about what you wanted, and I to try and really bring that to the table and deliver that was a real challenge, but it caused me to just have to let go and be vulnerable in that moment to try and be really present and do the work to make it sound as well as it could. And I feel like that was part of the process for me that I really got so much about from, and the opportunity to work with all of you that we're talking today, all the musicians here, was really a profound experience for me. And also just having that really good camaraderie with people that I really didn't know. I mean, Dafnis and I have actually known each other for a very long time, but we haven't like spent a lot of time hanging out. Probably more since I've been down here.
That's right.
And Gonzalo I'd never met, Sammy I'd never met, and John, you and I had only played a handful of times, but it was always really wonderful. So there was a lot of really wonderful things involved in the process for me personally, and I think that also shows, because with people when they're listening, there's some people, some friends and some acquaintances that I know of that have listened to the album and really love it, and they listen to it repeatedly because they really bring some joy and it makes them feel good, and they really like the content. And so I think in that regard as well, it was a huge success.
Well, let's play a little bit more music. I want to play a short version of Oma, which is a song that I wrote probably more than 20 years ago, but I wanted to include it on this record because it's all about the divine feminine and creativity, Mother Earth, Shakti, the universe, where life comes from, and it's evolved over the years what this song means to me, and I knew that if I brought it to all of you, we would find it. So this is Oma. to mention this before, and forgive me for going back in time here, but I wanted to share that, Gonzalo was talking about, you were talking about the collaborations you did with Charlie Hayden, and those records were such profound resources and inspirations for making this record for me. And that's, as you mentioned, Nocturne, Land of the Sun, and Tokyo Adagio, the duo performance that you did at Blue Note Tokyo. And also, and Dafnis just released his record, Transparency.
That's right.
Which is a beautiful, beautiful record. I hope everyone goes and checks that out. Dafnis Prieto, Transparency.
It's a great record,
it is.
too.
It is. I
Thank
heard
you.
the whole thing. I listened to it like 5 times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
No one has listened more than me because I was there mixing and mastering.
Yeah.
When you know the story. By the end of the whole process, everyone what everyone else played, which is a great experience. That's why they actually, you become much more aware of what the nature of the recording is, and how delicate it could become at some point. I mean, music is like that, but the studio, it just brings that awareness. Also because you have that possibility of listening back and really,
For better or for worse.
yeah.
So, and Sammy, by the way, I love the choices that you made on this particular track on Oma, with all the kabasa and the tambourine with the kabasa, along with the congas and everything.
Yeah.
I never would have imagined any of those sounds, and it makes it what it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have to say that getting back to the bolero aspect, right? I grew up in a family like you very much. My aunt was a singer, my father was a singer, and my uncles were all musicians, and I grew up listening to Benny Moré and Vicentico Valdés, all those guys. But what really touched my heart were ballads. When I heard Vicentico Valdés, it changed my life. He did an album called La Montaña that was way back in the late 50s, and I must have heard that record 100 times a day until I got my grandmother really pissed off, and she took the record away from me. She took it away. She said, "If you play that record again, I'm going to hit you over the head with it." And so I said I had to find something else. But this record, being my favorite genre, which is the art of the ballad, it means so much to me, especially being with such eloquent musicians like Gonzalo, Carlo, and Daphne, and you, John. I mean, there's so much eloquency and so much beauty in the way that you bring the note of music to this art. And so when I was called for this project, I was astounded. We musicians always have some sense of insecurity, right? We all do. Whether it's minor, bigger, we still do. I cover the whole thing with a sense of humor, because I feel that without a sense of humor, how can you play? If somebody has to go crazy, and I feel that's what happened. And I think that because you all have a different type of characteristic of personality, it was so perfect, the balance of musicians that are here, that inspired me to listen. And I've always been a musician all my life that likes to listen to the musician, because there's such a thing that not overplaying, not underplaying. It's just being part of the painting, right? You don't have to demonstrate anything. What you do have to demonstrate for yourself is to be true to yourself, to be honest, and then put all that crap to the side and bring in the humanity into the music, So to me, growing up in a family that was listening to Cortijo and and Benny Moré and all these things and rumba over here and bolero over there and oh my God, it never stopped. So I had no choice to be part of that symbiotic rhythm of life that's called music, you know. And I grew up little by little coming to New York, doing recording sessions where it was Brazilian, it was jazz, it was rumba, it was rock and roll, it was R&B. I had no choice than to metamorphosize myself into that situation. So I believe that music, you have to live the moment. You can't live tomorrow or the past. You have to be in the present. And because if you live the present, it doesn't really matter what happens tomorrow because you haven't lived it. You know, but I know one thing, that when you live that moment, it is the most satisfying, most gratefulness energy in the history of feelings and emotions. And so that I believe that that's why this recording uh, came to be such an artful recording because you brought all the love. Gonzalo, who is a master in the sense of creativity, Carlo, who has a great sense of beauty, and Daphne, who is a master of rhythm. What more can you have? And then you put a little bit of humor in this recipe, and there you go. The rest doesn't mean crap. What matters is the moment.
Very good.
Thank you.
You know, I'm
You brought
listening
the.
to, no, just a little thing. Listening to Sammy and everyone, Daphne, Carlo, yourself, John, coming back to to be sincere in the moment to play, to make an interpretation or an improvisation, just to be part of a collective. I heard a long time ago when I was a kid that you can, somebody to say, you can verbally, you can lie to everyone. You can say whatever you want. You can make a speech and invent phrases or take phrases from somewhere, from a book, whatever, or just to say anything you want. In the moment of making music, it's really difficult to lie. It's almost impossible. Even when you think that you can lie to somebody else in the middle of performance, you can be sure that some people around will detect that you are trying to cover yourself, you're trying to hide something. And it's impossible not to show the people who you are when you play, or who you are in terms of your personality, or in which moment of your life you are at that moment. You can be dispersed, and you can hear that in the way you play. You can be deep, and people can feel that deepness. And you can be happy, you can be sad, you can be destroyed. And this is what you are able to say through the music. There's no choice.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy, I liked what you were saying. I liked everything you were saying. For this record, talking about trying to reach the human story, the human spirit. One thing that I wanted to do with this record was to put you all on the spot and have you talk about different aspects of our theme. To talk about what family means to you, or what music means to you, or what how you're navigating the quarantine and the times that we're going through. And Sammy, I think I'd like to play your spoken track. We didn't talk about your father, who was a renowned bolero singer, and so we did a track that's associated with him on this as well, which I want to listen to after that. So let's play the Sammy Figueroa track. play the. That's a different one. That's Pupitas for the puppies.
And I like Pupitas.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Pupitas is fun. That's a groovy one.
Yeah.
Pupita is a groovy one.
Oh, it's not in there? Is El Último Suspiro? Yeah. Let's play it.
El último suspiro.
El Último.
Beautiful.
All right, now check this out.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Home to me is the most important thing because I grew up in a family that was very musical in Puerto Rico. My father was a singer, my aunt was a singer, my uncles are all musicians, so there was always music around my house. John said, why don't we do a tune from your father? And I said, wow, really? I'm honored. Let's do El Último Suspiro. And I said, oh, that's a gorgeous tune. I said, are you sure you want to do this? He said, absolutely. And you're going to play for him. You're going to do an intro that's for the spirit of your dad. I said, oh, this is great. We were doing that and we finished. I said, oh my God, man. I could feel his presence hovering, saying thank you. It was pretty emotional last night. I didn't want to say anything, but when I got home, man, I started crying because it really touched me. After all these years, right, of his death, and I never got to meet him. So if I left tomorrow, I would be the happiest man in the world.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My Bolero.
I mean, the thing, the quality with the bolero also is that quality of intimacy.
Mhm.
That's a very unique quality of intimacy, of really, just having that pause in a way of defense, no like really relax and just be who you are at that moment. It's that quality also that I felt, in the studio doing, because the music requires that too, and we bring that as well. So, great.
John, the Oma, which was for the Divine Mother, that one meant so much to me because I've had my mother and my wife who represent so much to me in my life. And without them, I don't know where I would be. So when you wrote that, it really struck a beautiful chord in my life to dedicate a piece to the Divine Mother. It's really important because, you know, the male and the female are like an electric socket. If you put only the male, it will explode. You have to put female and male in the electricity for it to light up the light. So without the female, there's no way the electricity can work, you know? So that meant a lot to me.
Yeah. Yeah, Daphne says something about the intimacy of the bolero, which is totally true, and I would like to add that also, maybe we could agree on this. I think boleros bring some glamour too, some elegance.
Oh yeah.
You know? There's an attitude of glamour and beauty, something like a boutique, you know? Exclusive. That's the taste to me. That's the flavor I feel always with the good bolero.
Yes, that's true.
That's right.
Bolero is like a beautiful perfume, right? Or a beautiful recipe, right? When it hits you, it opens up all the senses, past, present, and future, and that is the most beautiful aroma that you can give yourself. It's a gorgeous bolero.
I want to add a story that happened to me with one of the most well-known boleros around the world, which is Bésame Mucho.
Bésame Mucho.
You know, Bésame Mucho is one of the boleros that with more versions in the history of the music. I think so.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I heard Bésame Mucho in every corner I visited in the world. Everywhere, in the middle of the street, in a concert hall, classical hall, in the jazz clubs, in jam sessions, everywhere. So it made, to me, to my understanding, it made that piece very difficult to play after too many visions of the way that people see the piece and they play the piece and made an interpretation of this piece. Long time ago, let's say more than 20 years ago, maybe more than 20 years ago, what happened to me with the bolero was the opposite way. Sammy was talking about names, singers that famous names that put the bolero on the most high level, and they are like the ABC of the bolero's music and the history of the Latin music. And this is the reference we have, those names, Benny Moré, Vicentico Valdés, Elena Urque, many. That, what happened to me in Cuba, and almost 30 years ago, is that Dizzy Gillespie brought with him Carmen Marrero. And she was in, which year was that? I think it was in 1986 or something like that, more or less. And then I heard Carmen Marrero singing Bésame Mucho with the whole American accent, which was singing in Spanish. And that was the day I decided to retake Bésame Mucho and play Bésame Mucho. And I haven't stopped playing Bésame Mucho in the rest of all my life, because she brought something to me was totally new. The way she, that was totally a new picture of Bésame Mucho. The phrasing, the dynamics, how she approached every moment, the structure of the piece, the form, the sound, the tone, everything was new. And it's amazing how one person can change suddenly the history of the piece with more than 50 years and many versions. In an instant, in a moment. But that piece cannot go more than 3 minutes or something like that, maybe less. And that was a revelation for me, seeing and listening this woman taking Besamenucho to a different space and different level. So that means also what we're talking at the beginning of our conversations. We don't have to be, you don't have to be Latin people. You don't have to be from the island to understand that this music that we're talking about tonight still has so many doors to open, so many windows to be open. You know, there's a lot of colors that we can add to this style of music, and I never forget that. It's because sometimes we believe that the best options, the best version should come from the people really related or in contact with the roots. And that was not the case. You know, it was not the case. It was totally the opposite. And that was a revelation. So I wanted, because I think it's an important point, you know, about how to approach something that is not even part of your memory.
On behalf of the gringo, I would like to thank you for that comment.
Exactly.
Oh, the gringo party, the gringo party.
Exactly. There you go. Exactly.
You know, I now
Exactly.
let me now that you were saying that, because John, you have a relative that, you know, in your family that come from Italy, right? I mean, we're talking about somehow also a trace of music that came to Cuba from Europe. And you know, if you listen to the Napolitan songs, canciones napolitanas, there's very I mean, it has that kind of sense of feeling, very romantic and very, you know, outspoken about sentiments and emotions, and you know, love and betrayal and all these things, that the same kind of quality that we're talking about in the bolero. So maybe that runs already, maybe not, I'm sure it does. Runs by default in your blood, and it was probably very natural to you to think about the you know, to make this album, you know.
My grandfather, their family was Sicilian. You know,
oh, there you go.
From just out of Palermo, and
yeah.
and he played similar kinds of songs.
Indeed.
On the accordion in these ways. You know, it's right inside of
yeah,
of this feeling.
That's right.
Definitely.
Without the bongo. The bongo is a Cuban instrument.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That wipes it all out.
Yeah.
Let me ask you all something.
Pumpim también de conga.
I don't want to go too long here. I know we're starting to come toward the end of our big broadcast. But I wonder if you all, because I think folks might be interested to know what runs through the minds of gentlemen like yourselves when you're in a situation. You know, we as a band, we had never played together before, and you know, even two of us had not played together before, and we certainly had not played this music before. And we all had to come in, and we had my marvelous mock-ups to listen to. But we had to really understand each other and find the music together on the spot. Not just the music, but each other. You know, music is life, and life is music. So I'd be curious to hear your experience, if you remember, you know, what you had to navigate, and what your thoughts were as we started to record this music, as it started to come together, and as we started to get to know each other.
Sammy? Or
well, I mean, I can sum it up in just a few words. I recorded with many people. You know, I had the fortune of recording with a lot of artists. But honestly, I think that the pandemic brought something wonderful to all of us, believe it or not. It brought unity, wisdom, and focus, right? And I think that this recording was, for me, at least from my personal point of view, a very special unification that sums up all the things that I did 50 years ago. And here I am sitting with some of the most creative, most beautiful people I have recorded. I mean that with all my heart. And I am very impressed just for the mere respect of each other, for that respect that we have for each other, and for the listening art, how we were able to accomplish this incredible architecture of beauty, you know? And I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would record with Gonzalo Rubalcaba. You know, I've been a fan of Gonzalo for years, but I never thought I'd record with him, you know, or Dafnis, you know, or you, John.
I just walked in trying to see, for me, it was just such a an honor to be a part of it, and I hadn't really worked with anybody here, so, and knowing everybody's musical biographies or life, and just how profound everybody's musicianship and artistry and creativity was. It was really I was definitely a little nervous about stepping in to that situation with you all, but I was so happy about how supportive and how you guys all just made me feel comfortable. We were just all trying to do something together, and that was a really beautiful experience for me. And I appreciate you all for doing that, and allowing me to have that experience with you and share it. And I can't, it was great how it came out.
Carlo, you played your ass
better.
off. You played your ass off.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think just to add a little bit that, obviously, but the way I feel is that, that quality of listening, like putting yourself on the other side, instead of thinking in one person, in your as a first person, but being on the other side and have that empathy towards each of us when we are in the studio working, and it's just a great experience that just flourish inside of one's being. It just makes it grows from inside out. And anyway, I just want to let you know my appreciation for working with you and making this record. I don't think I actually have recorded previously with any of you either. So that's the case, and that's probably the case of all of us. We haven't actually done a recording.
Yeah.
Now that I put the
Who are you?
Exactly.
So I'm not the only one.
No, you're not alone, Carlo. No, I think we are all in the same boat on that one. But anyway, thank you guys for for this great, amazing musicianship and quality of loving the music and listening, because at the end of the run, we have ideas here in the studio. Oh, let's try this, but we do it in honor of the music, and in honor, not taking aside, taking away anything that can interfere with the transparency, one more time, of the intention of the music, which is what it counts. Is that experience then when the listener, that we are, that those listeners also, when we listen it back and say, wow, yeah. We can even, I remember, I listened to the record and I remember scenes and I remember, takes. I remember things that Sammy did, the shpak, That's never gonna. You're never gonna forget that. With the how do you call that instrument, Sammy? Is it the name? Huh?
Cabasa.
Yeah, oh, you did it with the cabasa. Oh,
I did
okay.
it with the cabasa.
Yeah, that was. I mean, anyways, I just have a great memory. It gets a great memory in my heart.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
So I'm gonna play one more short little thing, and I think we'll play Pupitas and you know we did a few tunes for my dad. We did the tune for Sammy's father. We did a song I wrote for my wife, a song I wrote for my daughter, and I was telling my daughter, the concept of the record, and she said, "Well, you're gonna write a song for the dogs, right?" Because they're family too. And I said, "You're absolutely right."
That's correct.
So we have these two little Cocker Spaniels. One actually passed not long ago, Leah and Maya. And actually, you can hear. I went home and Leah, I put her right up against the microphone and had her pant after I walked her around the house, so she got really hot and she was. So you can hear it on the with the shaker, and then she's I got her at the end. Check it out. Oh, the piano solo.
I like the way you shape that, that solo thing, creating that tension there in that pedal line, right? That was that's some killing interpretation right there.
Whatever the music needs.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you. That's the only thing I wanted to add. Thank you. Gracias.
Yeah.
Muchísimas por hacerme yo parte de esto. To call me and make me be part of the project. To have the chance, the blessing, and the honor to play with all of you and to share moments in and out of the music. And I think that's the beginning of something else that goes beyond the music.
That's right.
So thank you so much.
I thank you too, John. I thank all of you and for your love, for your musicianship, and for your spirit. I love all of you. I am honored. And I hope that this takes us to an even even a further journey.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Both Gonzalo and Sammy. I thank you so much, John. I really appreciate being a part of it, and it's such an honor to be able to play with all of you and share music. And I look forward to more, hopefully.
Indeed. Thank you, man. Thank all of
Yeah.
you. You know.
Thank all of you. I am so honored to make music with all of you. And I also think that it's, while we stay present in this moment, it's the only thing that's real.
Mhm.
Whatever happened in the past is not real anymore. Whatever's going to happen in the future does not exist yet. It's the only thing that's it.
That's right.
But the connection is open.
Mhm.
And that's why I love you all with all my heart. And in the sense that music is life and life is music, you know, any chance we have to do something more, we'll do it. But it lives right now. And I'm
That's
so
right.
grateful to each one of you for making the time to do this tonight and share your heart and your minds with everybody else. I wish we could do it in person, but hopefully that will be on the horizon. We'll see.
Yeah.
We will.
But there will be
Yeah.
more. I think I'm gonna close. I'm gonna play one more thing because I was talking
Sure.
about my grandfather, Johnny,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Johnny Battista Daversa,
Mhm.
a Sicilia,
Batista Daversa.
and he, my grandmother and my grandfather met in San Francisco. Both of their families uh, from Italy and Sicily, and they used to go up to San Francisco to work in the canneries, and they would work with in Cannery Row there. And so my grandmother wrote this book, and I believe my grandfather would just tell her stories about his life, and she would write them down. She actually typed them on the typewriter, and they made a book. It's about that thick, and they bound it. And before we recorded this record, I read this book to my daughter, at bedtime. And it tells the story of when they met in San Francisco and, all the escapades that happened after that. And so I wrote this song for them. It's
Mhm.
the Canneries of San Francisco, the story of Johnny and Molly.
Nice.
Mhm.
So
Thank you
beautiful.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
I love you, and I will see
Pleasure.
you on
Love
the
you,
other
Love
side.
you too.
Great to see.
Love you too.
Great to see everyone. Great to see
I love
everyone.
you. Love
Un
you.
abrazo. Big
Un
hug.
abrazo.
Yeah.
Mm.
Glasses.
Good night.